Howdy YouTube, this is Charles.
And John.
And we're back finally out at our cabin property, our little tiny house out in the middle of the Ozarks. This is our first time back out here since Princess Frostbite has passed away. And, you know, it's been a little over a month and it's still pretty hard.
It's really hard. And that's why it's kind of hard to show emotion sometimes, is you just, when you lose somebody, you try not to talk about them. It's almost like you've got two emotions. You've got numb or you've got bawling your eyes out.
And that's truly the case, you know, and especially after first coming back out here, you know, since the cabin, the tiny house is over 2.5 hours from our city home. Even though we've been through a significant part of the grieving process, coming back out here kind of makes us have to relive things, because there's certain things like this. You know, the last time we were here, she was on this lead, and on this visit, our next visit out, we're gonna have to take it up. And then inside the cabin, we're unloading stuff, and I look down and I see this. Yet another reminder that Princess Frostbite is no longer with us, and the fact that it's got yeast growing on it and molded over and what, you know, only kind of sends home the reality of what happened even more. So we're still gonna have a good time. It's gonna be hard. Take some getting used to. The cabin's exactly how we left it, and that just goes to show you life can change in an instant of a moment. Some of you guys don't know this, that aren't personal friends with us on Facebook or our other social media platforms. We're actually presently looking for a new full-time city house because a situation happened a couple weeks ago. I was outside. We live in a north county of St. Louis, and that area is known to be hills and valleys. And I'm speaking figuratively, not literally. Hills and valleys literally would be the Ozark property. But our city home, which we rent and have rented for 8 years, is, I was out edging my lawn. John went to go run some errands with his mom, and the next thing I know, I'm edging my lawn, just having a good old time, like la 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 la, middle-aged guy edging his lawn, and all of a sudden I heard a pop, pop, pop. I didn't think anything of it because it was 4th of July weekend, and figured, you know, the neighborhood's exploding with fireworks anyway. And all of a sudden I heard some cars slowing down and coming to a halt, and I turned around, and not even 25 yards from where I was standing, I saw a guy in a black Mustang convertible leaning over and with his arm extended, popping off rounds, shooting. I thought he was doing a drive-by and shooting somebody at the bus stop. Supposedly, I guess there was another car, and 2 cars were having a shootout. I guess this is like a common thing now in St. Louis. They call them rolling gun battles, where 2 cars will approach each other and slow down and like gun out and then drive past each other. I was so close, I was able to identify the make and model of the pistol the guy was shooting. So the cops called me back up after I first reported it. They said they had the one guy stopped, and they found the gun. They found the gun in the car, because I said, no, I don't know about the other car, but the guy that you guys got, he's the one I saw shooting. And they're like, well, are you sure you saw him shooting? Because he's saying the other car was shooting at him. And I'm like, well, I don't know what I saw, but this is how sure of what I did see. I saw a young African-American male in his early 30s driving a black convertible Mustang and a red and white Polo shooting a high point .45. And the cop was like, damn, you're right, it was a high point. And I'm like, yeah, I was less than 25 yards from it. I saw it. I saw it all go down. And they're like, well, are you sure he was shooting and not just pointing his gun? And I'm like, well, I don't know, officer. Like, he had his gun extended out cocked sideways, leaning over the back seat of his car, and I heard, you know, rounds start to go off, so I dove for cover behind my car. I'm like, I didn't see muzzle flare or stick around because I didn't want him to see me, because I'm afraid whoever was shooting was going to come back around to take care of any witnesses. So suffice to say, we are presently going to be looking to move, which sucks because our city house, we had a 2-bedroom house with a semi-finished basement, fenced-in backyard. Our landlord didn't care about if we had chickens or dogs. We were only paying $525 a month. Now granted, $525 a month is not enough to risk mine or John's life. And, you know, I don't want to have to wear my, while I do yard work. So, we're moving. We're going to move out into what they call West County. What are you going to do? So, in between all that, we decided to go ahead and come back out to the cabin. It's 110, the heat index today, so if I seem kind of, that's why. We might take you guys down to the lake, do some snorkeling, and basically we came out here to come out here because we had to kind of force ourselves to come out here because it was the first time having to come out here without Princess. And as you guys that have followed us have seen the videos of her sleeping in the back seat and the photos on Instagram, it was a necessary step in the grieving process. So here we are, and I'll see you guys in a little bit. Alright guys, we decided to go for a quick nature walk to see if we can find any wild edibles. And John found something over here.
These are edible, and they actually are a heavy attractant for deer and bear in the area. So far we haven't seen any bear ourselves, but I think we're good on that. They are high in antioxidants, they're proven to be anti-cancerous, and they're edible. So have fun with those, but always check a field guide or some kind of online resource to identify edibles, and don't trust me.
But I can't remember which is which, but if one is growing towards the sky, it's a dewberry. If one is more like a bush and hanging, it's a blackberry. But you'll always know it because it kind of looks like a mulberry. So
here's more right here.
More berries or shrooms?
More berries. So be careful when you're collecting, you'll get fingerprints. Like this. Just got a thorn in my finger.
It's a thorn in my ass.
Chanterelles. I wish I had my mushroom picker's knife, but I don't. Alright guys, these are chanterelle mushrooms growing all over the property. We've been following them down in a trail, but we're hoping to hit the big family of them.
Now don't confuse the chanterelle with the jack-o'-lantern. You'll get real sick. Alright guys, we're heading down to the lake. I apologize if the audio sounds a little different. We're using the underwater GoPro. John's driving. As you can see, he's Hoosier half naked. That is the official term for the Ozarks of Missouri.
Hoosier half naked is the best way to be.
Yeah, Hoosier half naked. So we're gonna go do some swimming at the lake, and yeah, our footage kind of just shut down yesterday when we were mushroom hunting. We probably found about 20-30 pounds of chanterelles. Found a huge patch of them. We might take you back out there later, but when I got here, only one of the GoPros had an SD card in it, and it was only a 4 gig SD card, so that filled up pretty quickly. So we had to run, and John went and got us a pizza and bought another SD card, so now we're on this SD card and we're in the underwater GoPro. In case y'all are wondering, this is like the original GoPro Hero, and it still works. Now the other GoPro is a Hero 3, and it still works. So I highly recommend buying refurbished GoPros on eBay. You can buy them all day long for about $100. Great camera. Yeah, the Chinese knockoffs work, but I think
not like a GoPro.
They're not like a GoPro. Now granted, the GoPro Hero 3's got some glitches to it, but it still records pretty damn good. Now the Yi, from what I understand, it's spelled Y-I, is supposed to be a pretty good action camera, but it's gained in popularity so much that it costs almost as much as a dang GoPro, so you might as well just buy the GoPro. All right, guys, we'll see you underwater.